Okay, how's it going, everyone? So I'm gonna get back to reading constitutions. I started with Afghanistan, and the reason why I started with Afghanistan is because it's the first one alphabetically. So I went ahead and did that. I might read the next constitutions based on other reasons, but it's reading the Afghanistan government, the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. It's kind of interesting now because I believe, what I keep hearing and what I understand is that the Taliban is currently keeps, taking control of cities in Afghanistan, and Kabul might be looking at falling soon. And so this might not be the Constitution anymore. But nonetheless, we're going to finish reading this. And that's what I understand is going on in Afghanistan. And, I'm going to try to be looking into it more. Just so you know, the United States began the Taliban in Afghanistan by, the Taliban comes from the Mujahideen in the 80s. The United States put $20 billion into the Mujahideen during the 1980s to overthrow the current Marxist-Leninist government in Afghanistan. So that's what they don't tell you, is that the only reason why the Taliban even exists is because the United States did not want Afghanistan to be a Marxist-Leninist country. And so they funded religious fascist, militants to overthrow the government, and which, has led to chaos ever since. So when the U.S. pretends that it's fighting the Taliban, they're 100% lying. They started the Taliban. Their interest was not to help anybody in Afghanistan. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. We're going to start with Chapter 6. This is the third part, the final part of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan's Constitution. Chapter 6, Loya Jirga. Article 110. The Loya Jirga is the highest manifestation of the will of the people of Afghanistan. The Loya Jirga consists of members of the National Assembly, presidents of the provincial as well as district assemblies, ministers, chief justice, and members of the Supreme Court, as well as the Attorney General, shall participate in the Loya Jirga sessions without voting rights. Article 111. The Loya Jirga shall convene in the following situations: to decide on issues related to independence, national sovereignty, territorial integrity, as well as supreme national interests. Amend provisions of this Constitution. Impeach the President in accordance with provisions of the Article 69 of the Constitution. Article 112. In its first session, the Loya Jirga shall elect from amongst its members a chairperson, a deputy chair, and a secretary and an assistant secretary. Article 113. The quorum of the Loya Jirga shall be complete for voting with the presence of the majority of members. The decision of the Loya Jirga, except in situations explicitly stated in this Constitution, shall be adopted by a majority of members present. Article 114. Sessions of the Loya Jirga shall be open unless 1/4 of its membership demands secrecy and the Loya Jirga accept this demand. Article 115. During the sessions of the Loya Jirga, provisions of Articles 101 and 102 of this Constitution shall be applied to its members. Chapter 7, the Judiciary. Article 116. The judiciary shall be an independent organ of the state of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. The judiciary shall be comprised of one Supreme Court, courts of appeal, as well as primary courts, whose organization and authority shall be regulated by law. The Supreme Court shall be the highest judicial organ, heading the judicial power of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Article 117. The Supreme Court shall be comprised of 9 members appointed by the President with the endorsement of the House of People, and in observance of the provisions of Clause 3 of Article 50 as well as Article 118 of this Constitution, shall be initially appointed in the following manner: 3 members for a period of 4 years, 3 members for 7 years, and 3 members for 10 years. Later appointments shall be for a period of 10 years. Appointment of members for a second term shall not be permitted. The President shall appoint one of its members as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Members of the Supreme Court, except under circumstances stated in Article 127 of this Constitution, shall not be dismissed until the end of their term. Article 118. Supreme Court members shall have the following qualifications: At time of appointment, the age of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and its members shall not be less than 40 years. Shall be a citizen of Afghanistan. shall have higher education in legal studies or Islamic jurisprudence, as well as expertise and adequate experience in the judicial system of Afghanistan. Shall have good character as well as good reputation. Shall not have been convicted by a court for crimes against humanity, crimes, or deprivation of civil rights. Shall not be a member of any political party during his term of duty. Article 119. Members of the Supreme Court shall take the following oath of office in the presence of the President. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, I swear in the name of God Almighty to attain justice and righteousness, in accordance with tenets of the holy religion of Islam, provisions of this Constitution, as well as other laws of Afghanistan, and to execute the judicial duty with utmost honesty, righteousness, and impartiality. Article 120. The authority of the judicial organ shall include consideration of all cases filed by real or incorporeal persons, including the state as plaintiffs or defendants, before the court in accordance with the provisions of the law. Article 121. At the request of the government or courts, the Supreme Court shall review the laws, legislative decrees, international treaties, as well as international covenants for their compliance with the Constitution and their interpretation in accordance with the law. Article 122. No law shall under any circumstances exclude any case or area from the jurisdiction of the judicial organ as defined in this chapter and submit it to another authority. This provision shall not prevent formation of special courts stipulated in Articles 69, 78, and 127 of this Constitution, as well as cases related to military courts. The organization and authority of these courts shall be regulated by law. Article 123. With respect to the provisions of this Constitution, statutes related to the formation authority, as well as proceedings of courts and matters related to judges, shall be regulated by law. Article 124. Provision of laws related to civil servants, as well as other administrative staff of the state, shall also apply to the officials and the administrative personnel of the judiciary, but the Supreme Court, in accordance with the law, shall regulate their appointment, dismissal, promotion, retirement, rewards, and punishments. Article 125. Article 125. The budget of the judiciary shall be prepared by the Supreme Court in consultation with the government and shall be presented to the National Assembly as part of the national budget. The Supreme Court shall implement the budget of the judiciary. Article 126. Supreme Court judges shall receive lifetime pensions at the end of their term of service, provided they do not hold state and political offices. Article 127. If more than one-third of the members of the House of People demand the trial of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court or any of its members accused of a crime related to job performance or committing a crime, and the House of People approves this demand by two-thirds majority of all members, the accused shall be dismissed and the issue referred to a special court. The formation of the court and procedure of the trial shall be regulated by law. Article 128. In the courts in Afghanistan, trial shall be held openly, and every individual shall have the right to attend in accordance with the law. In situations clarified by law, the court shall hold secret trials when it considers necessary, but pronouncement of its decision shall be open in all cases. Article 129. In issuing a decision, the court is obligated to state the reason for its verdict. All final decisions of the court shall be enforced except for capital punishment, which shall require presidential approval. Article 130. In cases under consideration, the court shall apply provisions of this Constitution as well as other laws. If there is no provision in the Constitution or other laws about a case, the court shall, in pursuance of Hanafi jurisprudence, and within the limits set by this Constitution, rule in a way that attains justice in the best manner. Article 131. The court shall apply the Shia jurisprudence in cases involving personal matters of followers of the Shia sect in accordance with the provisions of the law. In other cases, if no clarification in this Constitution and other laws exist, the court shall rule according to the laws of this sect. Article 132. Judges are appointed at the proposal of the Supreme Court and approval of the President. appointment, transfer, promotion, punishment, and proposals for retirement of judges carried out according to provisions of the laws shall be within the authority of the Supreme Court to better regulate judicial as well as judicial administrative matters and attain necessary reforms. The Supreme Court shall establish the office and general administration of the judiciary. Article 133. When a judge is accused of a crime, the Supreme Court shall, in accordance with the provisions of the law, consider the case. After hearing the defense, if the Supreme Court considers the accusation valid, it shall present a proposal to the President for dismissal of the judge. After presidential approval, the accused judge shall be dismissed and punished according to the provisions of the law. Article 134. Discovery of crime shall be the duty of police, and investigation and filing the case against the accused in the court shall be the responsibility of the attorney's office. In accordance with the provisions of the law, the attorney's office shall be part of the executive organ and shall be independent in its performance. The organization, authority, as well as method of work of the attorney's office shall be regulated by law. Special law shall regulate discovery and investigation of crimes of duty by the armed forces, police, and officials of national security. Article 135. If a party in a lawsuit does not know the language, the right to know the materials and documents of the case, as well as conversation in the court, shall be provided in the party's mother tongue through a translator appointed by the court. Okay, this is Chapter 8, Administration. Article 136. The administration of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, based on the units of central government and local offices, shall be regulated according to the law. The central administration shall be divided into several administrative units, each headed by a minister. The local administrative unit shall be a province. The number, area, divisions, and related provincial organizations, as well as number of offices, shall be regulated on the basis of population, social and economic conditions, as well as geographical location. Article 137. The government, in preserving the principles of centralism, shall transfer necessary powers in accordance with the law to local administrations, in order to accelerate and improve economic, social, as well as cultural matters, and foster people's participation in developing national life. Article 138. There shall be a provincial council in every province. Members of the provincial councils, according to law, shall be elected for 4 years by the residents of the province, proportionate to the population, through free, general, secret, as well as direct elections. The provincial council shall elect one of its members as president. Article 139. The provincial council shall participate in the attainment of the development objectives of the state and improvement of the affairs of the province in the manner prescribed by laws, and shall advise the provincial administrations on related issues. The provincial assembly council shall perform its duties with the cooperation of the provincial administration. Article 140. Council shall be established to organize activities as well as attain active participation of the people in provincial administrations in districts and in villages, in accordance with the provisions of the law. Local residents shall elect members of these councils for 3 years through free, general, secret, as well as direct elections. Participation of nomads in these local councils shall be regulated in accordance with the provisions of the law. Article 141. To administer city affairs, municipalities shall be established. The mayor and members of municipal councils shall be elected through free, general, secret, and direct elections. Matters related to municipalities shall be regulated by law. Article 142. To implement the provisions as well as attain values enshrined in this Constitution, the state shall establish necessary offices. Okay, this is Chapter 9, State of Emergency. Article 143. If because of war, okay, 1 second. So state of emergency is kind of relevant right now because, there's an insurgency from the Taliban who's taking over cities in Afghanistan, and we might be looking at them take over, basically overthrow the government in Afghanistan. So this is a state of emergency, that Afghanistan is in right now. Article 143. If because of war, threat of war, serious rebellion, natural disasters, or similar conditions, protection of independence and national life become impossible through the channels specified in this Constitution. The state of emergency shall be proclaimed by the President throughout the country or part thereof, with endorsement of the National Assembly. If the state of emergency continues for more than 2 months, the consent of the National Assembly shall be required for its extension. Article 144. During the state of emergency, the President can, in consultation with the Presidents of the National Assembly, as well as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, transfer some powers of the National Assembly to the government. Article 145. During the state of emergency, the President can, after approval by the Presidents of the National Assembly, as well as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, suspend the enforcement of the following provisions or place restrictions on them. Clause 2 of Article 27, Article 36, Clause 2 of Article 37, Clause 2 of Article 38. Article 146. The Constitution shall not be amended during the state of emergency. Article 147. If the presidential term or the legislative term of the National Assembly expires during the state of emergency, the new general election shall be postponed, and the presidential as well as parliamentary terms shall extend up to 4 months. If the state of emergency continues for more than 4 months, the President shall call the loya jirga within 2 months after the termination of the state of emergency. Election shall be held. Article 148. At the termination of the state of emergency, measures adopted under Article 144 and 145 of this Constitution shall be void immediately. This is Chapter 10, Amendments. Article 149. The principles of adherence to the tenets of the holy religion of Islam as well as Islamic republicanism shall not be amended. Amending fundamental rights of the people shall be permitted only to improve them. Amending other articles of this Constitution with due respect to the new experiences and requirements of the time, as well as provisions of Article 67 and 146 of this Constitution, shall become effective with the proposal of the President and approval of the majority of National Assembly members. Article 150. To process the amendment proposal, a commission comprised of members of the government, National Assembly, as well as the Supreme Court, shall be formed by presidential decree to prepare the draft proposal to approve the amendment. The loya jirga shall be convened by a presidential decree in accordance with the provisions of the chapter on loya jirga. If the loya jirga approves the amendment with the majority of 2/3 of its members, the president shall enforce it after endorsement. Chapter 11. Miscellaneous provisions. Article 151. The President, Vice Presidents, Ministers, Chief Justice, and members of the Supreme Court, the Attorney General, heads of the Central Bank and National Directorate of Security, governors, and mayors during their term of offices shall not engage in any profitable business with the state. Article 152. The President, Vice Presidents, Ministers, Chief Justice, and members of the Supreme Court, Presidents, and members of the National Assembly, the Attorney General, and judges shall not engage in any other jobs during their term of office. Article 153. Judges, attorneys, officers of the armed forces, police, and officials of the national security shall not become members of political parties during their term of office. Article 154. The wealth of the President, Vice President, Ministers, members of the Supreme Court, as well as the Attorney General shall be registered, reviewed, and published prior to and after their term of office by an organ established by law. Article 155. Suitable salary shall be fixed for Vice Presidents, Ministers, Presidents, as well as members of the National Assembly and Supreme Court, judges, and Attorney General in accordance with the provisions of the law. Article 156. The Independent Elections Commission shall be established to administer and supervise every kind of elections, as well as refer to general public opinion of the people in accordance with the provisions of the law. Article 157. The Independent Commission for Supervision of the Implementation of the Constitution shall be established in accordance with the provisions of the law. Members of this commission shall be appointed by the President with the endorsement of the House of People. Chapter 12, Transitional Provisions. Article 158. The title of the Father of the Nation and privileges bestowed upon His Majesty Mohammed Sair Shah, the former King of Afghanistan, by the emergency loya jirga of 1388 and 81, HS 2002, with due respect to provisions of this Constitution, shall be preserved during his lifetime. Majesty Mohammed Zahir Shah. Article 159. The interim period between the adoption of the Constitution and the inauguration of the National Assembly shall be considered the transition period. The Islamic Transitional Government of Afghanistan, during the transitional period, shall perform the following duties: issuing legislative decrees related to the elections of the President, National Assembly, as well as local councils within 6 months; issuing decrees regarding the organization and authority of courts, as well as the commencement of work on fundamental organizations, law in less than 1 year; establishing the Independent Elections Commission, completing necessary reforms to better regulate executive as well as judicial affairs; adopting necessary measures to prepare the ground for implementing provisions of the Constitution. Article 160. The first president-elect shall, according to provisions of this Constitution, commence work 30 days after election results are declared. Multilateral efforts shall be made to hold presidential as well as National Assembly elections concurrently and simultaneously. Pending the establishment of the National Assembly, its powers enshrined in this Constitution shall be submitted to the government, and the interim Supreme Court shall be established by presidential decree. Article 161. Immediately after inauguration, the National Assembly shall exercise its powers in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. After inauguration of the first session of the National Assembly, within 30 days, the government as well as the Supreme Court shall be inaugurated in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. The President of the Islamic Transitional Government of Afghanistan shall perform his duties until the inauguration of the President-elect. The executive and judicial organs of the state, in accordance with Clause 4 of Article 159 of this Constitution, shall continue with their duties pending the formation of the government, as well as the Supreme Court. Legislative decrees enforced from the beginning of the interim period shall be referred to the first session of the National Assembly. These decrees shall be enforceable unless annulled by the National Assembly. Article 162. This Constitution shall be enforced from the date of approval by the Loya Jirga and endorsed and proclaimed by the President of the Islamic Transitional Government of Afghanistan. Upon the enforcement of this Constitution, laws and legislative decrees contrary to its provisions shall be invalid. Okay, so thank you all for reading the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan's Constitution with me. You've just completed that. If you're watching this video, let me know in the comments below what Constitution you want to hear read next. And I'm trying to do constitutions that are currently in place. I don't mind doing previous constitutions. I wouldn't mind reading some of earlier Afghanistan constitutions. There's quite a few of them. So, but I'm looking for current day constitution. So, if y'all want to go ahead and let me know in the comments what constitution you want me to read next, please do. Like me on Facebook, Marx Saw. Follow me on Twitter, Marx Saw. YouTube, Marx Saw. And TikTok, Marx Saw. So yeah, and thank y'all for coming through. And yeah, y'all have a great day. Dodada Goy.